And now the final speaker before we have a break is Gabriella Hum. Good morning, Gabriella.
Good
How
morning,
very nice.
Patricia.
Good morning. How very nice to see you. I will just introduce you and then invite you to give us your presentation. So, Gabriella is the president of the Romanian Association of Positive Psychotherapy, joining us from Romania this morning. And she's a member of the World Association of Positive Psychotherapy Board of Directors. She works in private practice and she's an international trainer and supervisor for positive psychotherapy. And she's going to talk this morning about no war within ourselves, the relation with oneself during crises. Such an important topic. Thank you very much, Gabriella. We look forward to what you have to say to us.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Mr. Zalensky, about for your speech. It was really touching, really touching, and it's very difficult to have a speech from theory after you because you spoke from the real life, unfortunately, from the real life. When Mara Priceputu, the president of Romanian Federation of Psychotherapy, told me about this symposium, I thought that beside all the relationship we have to keep the relation with the institution, the relation between us, the relation with our clients, one of the most important relation is the relation with ourselves. For those who never been in a war, I think we had crises in front of a surgery, in front of a divorce, in front of a diagnosis, when we have this feeling that in that moment we have only ourselves and we have to take care of this relationship. In the morning, Mr. Kornienko said that in relation with our patients, the relation is the basis of the change of the psychotherapy. Before this relation is 250 hours of self-discovery, where we build and we take care of the relationship with us. So this is going to be my presentation of today, and I have a PowerPoint for you, just to help myself to present the idea of no war within ourselves, how to take care of us during crisis and how to maintain this relation with ourselves. Before, as Patricia said, I'm a positive psychotherapist and I'm a member of World Association of Positive and Transcultural Psychotherapy. It's an organization with more than 2,000 members in 55 countries and 6 continents. And we are involved in supporting our colleagues from Ukraine since March 2022. In the moment when Vladimir Karikash, Lyudmila Moskalenko and other colleagues from Ukraine told us that they need help, they need support, and they need to know that people from our community are there for them. One of the most important projects was the project developed in Poland. Is a WAP support project for mental health professionals. And in 2022 and 2023, we had conferences and webinars and free workshops to help our colleagues, psychotherapists from Ukraine, to maintain their mental health when they give support and provide support for their people. This is a project which lately started to be active also in Ethiopia, in India, and in Turkey last year when the earthquake was in February. We have also inside this project different kind of conferences and trainings, scientific conferences and trainings. One of them was in search for truth and humanity in the age of the war in Leszno in Poland. Last year in July, I think Mr. Kornienko talked about this project. We apply to the Ukrainian government in order to give our support or to offer our support for this mental health emergency program. The project is already on the table of the First Lady of Ukraine, Mrs. Olena Zelenska, and we hope that soon this project will be active and we will be able to see the results. There are also let's say little projects, monthly meetings with our colleagues from Ukraine. One project is this project, Soul Evenings. We meet each other online, Ukrainian and Romanian colleagues, and we talk on different topics, chosen by the Ukrainians or the Romanians. We have also a monthly project named Unity in Diversity. It's a transcultural online discussion where people from other countries like China, Ethiopia, Kosovo, Poland, Canada, meet each other and discuss about how we can be more united, even if we are so diverse. So coming back to the topic of today, you are going to see that the symbol for the presentation is the storm and the boat. And I believe that as psychotherapists, as counselors, as people who provide support for others, during the war, we are like navigating through a storm and in the same time taking care of our boat. And as a pioneer, Haruki Murakami, he's a well-known writer, Japanese writer. In 2005, in his book Kafka on the Shore, he said that once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain. When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. That's what this storm is all about. Keeping this quotation in mind, the question I want to raise here is, do we want to let the storm to shape our inner world, or we are able to be the builder of it? And through the lens of positive psychotherapy, I would like to touch three topics today. One topic is the topic of why, is a topic of, let's say, more existential topic and spiritual topic. The second topic is the topic of situational encouragement or ego-strengthening techniques, what we can do in order to help our ego to become stronger when we face crisis. And the third topic is about compassionate fatigue, or what's going on with us as specialists when we face suffering in this way. You, our colleagues from Ukraine, face suffering. And starting with this topic of why, I have a story, is a real story, of two guys from New Zealand, Jamie Fitzgerald and his teammate Kevin. They like very much to row. And after several weeks of training, they decided to attend a competition of crossing the Atlantic on a rowing boat, around 5,000 kilometers. The weather seemed to be okay. So they said in few weeks we are going to be on the other side of the ocean. The first day of competition, everything was fine. They were aware that because they were young and not very experienced, they will not be in the first 10 participants. But what's happened is that the second day, a very strong storm appeared. It was not announced on the weather announcements. So for 45 minutes, they lost the connection with the shore, and they were rowing and rowing and rowing, and the compass told them that they are in the same position. So whatever they did, it was no result. So they had a talk in the middle of the storm, and they think what to do to let themselves in the arms of the storm, or to row back to the shore, or what to do. And Jamie Fitzgerald asked a very basic question. He said, why we are here? Why? Why we came here? We came here to row and to be in this competition. We didn't come here to stay. So let's row and let's see what is going on. The storm was for 48 hours. 48 hours they were rowing, and they were in the same position in the ocean with no connection with the shore. After 2 days, they managed to contact their manager, and they asked, where are we? What we have to do? And the manager said, whatever you did it again. Because you are in the same position like before, like 48 hours ago, but all the other boats, they stopped rowing, and now they are back to the shore because the storm pushed them back to the shore. So you are the first. After 3 weeks, they arrive on the other side of the Atlantic, the first team, only because in the middle of the storm, they ask themselves why we are here, what we have to do. I think this question was also in the presentation of Mr. Zelensky. It was also in the presentation. I listened and I watched the presentation of Emmy van Dorzen from November last year. She also said about asking ourselves this basic question, why we are here. And as Patricia said, I'm a practitioner, and during the presentation, I used to share also some instruments we in positive psychotherapy use with our clients. And this is one instrument, one exercise, short exercise I offer you to use for yourself and then for your clients, to think about 7 situations during the last 2.5 years since the war, the attack of Russians against Ukraine started. Think about 7 situations when you feel that you contribute with something. The contribution. This situation could be little situation, when I took care of an animal, a cat, a dog, when I took care of a kid, I took care of an old person crossing the street. Doesn't matter what kind of situation you describe there, just put them there if you feel that you contribute to with something. And then think about the impact of your contribution to the others, to the environment, to the nature, to the world. And with your eyes of psychotherapists, take a look and try to find the pattern in these 2 parts, the contribution and the impact, and write your why connected to the contribution and the impact you had. What you see here down are 2 examples of whys of our colleagues from Ukraine. I had the chance to work with them several months ago, some colleagues from Odessa. And one colleague said, I give words to what is invisible through which we can move forward. And the other one said, I help others use their potential so that they do those things that deserve to be seen. When we have this why in our mind, decisions are not very difficult anymore. So when we have a decision to make, we can come back to this why, and we will know on which direction to go. This why make calm inside ourselves, because it directs us to a purpose, to a sense, to a meaning, which is our meaning. We choose our why. And also connected with this spiritual aspect of our life as psychotherapists, as human being, generally speaking, it is very important to find out our 3, 4, 5 values, which are very important for us in this moment. Our values are in dynamics. We have a colleague in Germany who said, if the clothes from 5 years old are not fit you anymore, why the values of 5 years old are fitting with your life now? So at least once per 2 years, 3 years, we have to take a look to our values. And what you see here is a model, we call it model dimension, is a connection we can make with our past to see what kind of values we learned from our parents, what kind of values we want to maintain, we want to develop as a counter model, not as a model, not like in my family, but different, opposite than in my family, and what kind of values I want to develop for myself, by myself. You are going to see that in positive psychotherapy, we use a lot of ROMs. This is one of them, model dimension. And here what we ask our clients and ourselves, of course, is what were the values you have seen in relation between your parents and the kids in the family? When you were a kid and your parents took care of you, what kind of values, what kind of, we call them also capacities you have seen in relation between the parents and the kids in your family? What kind of values you have seen in relation between your parents? Because this relationship, the partnership relationship between the parents could become the model for my relationship with my partner. What kind of values you have seen in relation between your parents and society, extended family, communities, colleagues from the work? What kind of values they put there in relation with society? And what kind of values you have seen in relation between your parents and spirituality? If we can pick one value from each area, we already have 4 values which were important in our past, in our childhood, and we can ask ourselves, do we want to keep them? Do we want to change them? Do we want to develop some other values in relation with ourselves and with the family we have now? Imagine that these 4 areas are a very good model to check the past of the client, not only connected with the values, but also connected with, I don't know, economic aspects, how they look at the money, or other aspects, the relationship they had with the kids, between themselves, relationship with the society, relationship with the spirituality. So it's a model who can be the base, the background for different kind of topics of discussion with our clients. Coming back to no war within ourselves, if we discover the values we took from our past and the values we want to follow nowadays, it is another element we can use in order to have peace inside us. When we talk about no war within ourselves and remember the iceberg of Freud, we imagine that the war is between the three parts of the psychic, the superego, the id, and the ego. And a little bit about our theory in positive psychotherapy, we believe that each human being has, from the first moment of his or her life, two kind of capacities. One basic capacities. One capacity is the capacity to love, the emotional capacity, and one capacity is the capacity to know, or the rational capacity. And based on these two basic capacities, during our life, we develop actual capacities. We differentiate different elements or capacities or resources. For example, we said that between 0 and 3 years old, when is the time where the id is very important. We are in a pre-verbal stage of our life. We don't have memories because we don't have language at that moment. During that time, 0, 3 years old, we develop primary capacities. And if we connect positive psychotherapy with psychodynamic psychotherapy, the primary capacities are stocked or developed inside our id. And when I talk about primary capacities or emotional capacities, I talk about hope, about trust, about love, about time, about patience, about faith. All these capacities are connected with our emotional capacity, basic capacity. One research Professor Peseshkian made during his life was to find out if there are differences between people from different culture connected with primary capacities. And what he discovered is that we understand the same behaviors behind these capacities. So love is the same in Ukraine, in Romania, in Canada, in China, or in Ethiopia. So primary capacities, they do not differ between different cultures. After 3 years old, we start to develop some social norms. We said that their place is at the level of superego. These social norms, we call them secondary capacities. And here we have orderliness, cleanliness, thrift, justice, responsibility or seriousness, fidelity, loyalty. So all these secondary capacities or social norms we internalize. It seems that they are different in different cultures. This is the part which make us different. The emotional capacities, the primary capacities, they connect us and they put us together. We are not different in terms of emotional capacities. So during our life, we said that parents introduce social norms, secondary capacities, condition them with an emotional part, with primary capacities. For example, we learn that if you are obedient, then you receive time from your mother. If you are performant with good grades at school, you receive love from your parents. So these are the basic conflicts we develop during our life, and they are good all of us, we are who we are now because of these basic conflicts. We need them in order to develop and to understand who we are. The difficulty or the worry within ourselves appear when one basic conflict doesn't work anymore because of the external reality. For example, I was obedient all my life and it was okay because I've got love and acceptance and time from the others, but now obedience in time of war, now obedience means that I have nothing. So I cannot be obedient anymore. The basic conflicts, they are the base for development of the ego. So we said that ego develops out of necessity and it evolves as an adaptation to the impulses of the id, the restriction or imperatives of the superego, and the demands of the external reality. The ego is the one who takes care of the decision, unconscious decision we take to follow the rules or to follow our impulses, our needs, our emotions. And in order not to have war inside ourselves, when war is outside, it is enough danger around me. What we can do is to use these three elements, which we believe that help the ego to strengthen itself. One is this element of self-acceptance and self-love. It is a voice inside our head which could be very critical or could be very protective or could be very cold. Is an inner voice, of course, internalized from our childhood, but as an adult, I can change and move the button of this voice to lower it or to make it more stronger if I need it. In times of war, I need a protective voice. I don't need a critical voice. It doesn't help me. But a protective voice, which maybe is not very helpful when I want to grow, when I want to achieve, but when I want to survive, a protective voice is very important. So imagine, this is one exercise we use with our clients to imagine like a DJ platform with buttons and imagine how you turn off the critical voice, the button of the critical voice, and put louder the voice of the protective voice. The second element important for ego strengths or strengthening is the self-conviction. To be aware about how many qualities we have, which are our weaknesses, what can we work on these weaknesses if there are some which can be changed. Another exercise we use with the clients is an exercise where we ask them to write 20 sentences starting with I am. And then we put these descriptors on balance model. The balance model is another rhombus which describe the four pillars of life or the four elements which keep us in balance. One is body, sorry, I started to write in Romanian. It is body. For example, if you do this exercise with teenagers, you will see that they write a lot of sentences which start with I am connected with body, because body is very important for them. I am tall, I am thin, I am blonde, I don't know how. So body is important in adolescence. In adults will be more about work. This is the area of work. Will be more about relationships, the third area, and will be more about spirituality. the fourth area: body, work, relationships, and spirituality. Mr. Zelensky talked about collective identity. When we start to think ourselves in terms of convictions, qualities, and weaknesses, and we put them on this balance model, we can see on which area or from which area we take more for our identity. My identity is more connected with my work, is more connected with my relationships, is more connected with my spirituality or with my body. How I can improve my or enlarge my view about my identity, trying to find out things about me from areas where I didn't put so much attention or so much energy. So this is the second instrument, the self-conviction instrument. The third one is the self-trust, or what we do. And here the discussion with our clients is always about mistakes, failures, and fear in front of this. A lot of us, we don't do things because we are afraid not to fail or not to make mistakes. And because of this, our self-trust is not evolving. So when coming back to the relation with ourselves, we have to be aware of our self-voice, inner voice, to see which of them, the protective, the critical, the observer voice, is more loud, and how to work with them in order to balance them, or to take more voice from the protective one in time of crisis. What kind of elements I use to describe my identity, from which area of balance model, and what I can do in order to overcome this anxiety of failure, and what I can do to act more and then to see what is going on. This self-trust is very much connected with my why and with my values. If we go back to that part, will be more easy for me to act than before. A war within ourselves means a profound inner conflict that can impact our mental health and our emotional well-being, and highlighting the complexity of human nature and the challenges of reconciling conflicting aspects of ourselves. This inner conflict is another element we talk about in positive psychotherapy. I'll come back to the image of basic conflict. Yeah, I think I didn't write about it. So the basic conflict is a connection between a social norm and an emotional resource I have, and usually these basic conflicts we develop in our childhood. When one basic conflict, which was a background for my evolution until now, cannot work anymore, the energy of this rupture between the secondary and the primary capacity, the social norm and the emotional aspect, the energy transforms into an inner conflict. This inner conflict is the same or has the same content like the basic conflict. If the basic conflict was about obedience, the inner conflict will be also about obedience. If the basic conflict was about justice, the inner conflict will be also about justice. But this inner conflict, and I will come back to the slides about inner conflict, it tells us that something is going on inside our unconscious mind, and that we have to build something else, another basic conflict, more flexible than one before. And what we can do is to work on the flexibility of the secondary capacity or social norm. Here you have an example, the desire to be free and get out during the quarantine. This is an actual situation. To be free is an emotional element, and the rule to stay inside, obedience as a secondary capacities, as a basic conflict. So this is a basic conflict which can be broken because the rule said stay inside, and the need I have is to be free and to get out. The inner conflicts, they are experienced as emotional tension, very high emotional tension, feeling unsolvable, and in a deadlock situation. This is the moment when some of our clients start to develop symptoms. We as therapists, because we are used, or we suppose that we are used with to understand our internal world, and we use intellectualization and other mature defense mechanisms, we are more prone to stay with our conflicts and to understand what's going on inside ourselves, because having an inner conflict is one door open to understand what's happened inside me. So we can use them to know ourselves better, to understand what kind of basic conflicts we have, what kind of basic conflicts cannot work or do not work anymore in our life because the environment, the reality is different. We can explore the origin of our inner conflict, or how we learned the social norm. Social norms sometimes involve in the inner conflict. And we can work on how we can make this capacity or social norm, secondary capacity, more flexible. What is very important, and I remember Professor Peseshkian telling us always, to be in an inner conflict means that you are in a moment where you can see two ways out, but neither this nor this is okay for me. So I'm stuck with two ways out from this situation, but neither this nor this is okay for me. And what Professor Peseshkian said is there are different other solutions in between these two alternatives. You are not able to see them because you are stuck in your inner conflict. But if you are used to work with yourself, you can see, or you can ask help to see the fan between the two alternatives. He said, avoid making rush decision. Rush decision means to get out of the situation on one way. But decide, and then trust your decision and invest on it. If we don't decide and we stay in our inner conflict, life goes on. We are still there, stuck in our inner conflict. Sometimes, you know, in positive psychotherapy, we said that we do not make changes when life is good. When our life is good, we make changes when our life challenges us. And we don't ask challenges. They are coming, they are just coming in our life. What else we can do with this inner conflicts is to facilitate the process and the integration of stressful experiences, both in the past, there and then, and in the present, here and now, and try to focus more on adaptive response more than on defensively reaction. So alternatives between the two elements, the two variants, and not one of them. We can adopt functional way of being and doing things rather than resorting the dysfunctional actions, reactions, and interactions. And we can demonstrate healthy capacities, healthy or flexible capacities, not good and bad, not obedient or authoritarian, but flexible in between these two variants. And the last element for today is about trauma response, exposure response. We all are prone to develop trauma exposure response because we are working with people who are suffering. But more than us, the colleagues from Ukraine, they are prone to this. As I told you in the beginning, this situation in Ukraine is like when you are in the middle of the storm and you try to build and to repair your boat. So you have to take care of this or of both elements. You are going to if you check the literature, you can find the same some different names for this, for trauma exposure response: secondary trauma, compassionate fatigue, vicarious trauma, or burnout. And it's very important for us to understand that in Romania, we have a saying that we have shoemakers without shoes and tailors without clothes. It's very important not to be like them. So the only instrument we have for our work is our mental health. We have to take care of it first and then to help the others. So if there is any element of dissociative moments, hypervigilance, minimizing, physical ailments, inability to listen. If you feel some of these elements, please ask help. The community is here. European Association of Psychotherapy did a very good job organizing this room for listening and other symposiums and projects for those who are in the middle of the war. What we think in positive psychotherapy that is our compass is this balance model. I've told you before about it: our body, our work area, our relational area, and our spiritual area. If we try to invest energy, maybe not 25% in each area because this is perfectionism, but we try to find out when I worked too much, next day maybe I can invest a little bit more energy to sport, or maybe next day I can invest a little bit more to my social community. So this balance model, sport, healthy food, meditation, journaling, volunteering, work for purpose, social support, family support, communities, and everything which is connected with our spiritual life, they could work as protective factors for macro and micro trauma. And even if we are vulnerable because of our personality structure or because of the moment we are in, so the vulnerability will be not touched, or will be touched in a way which is still healthy. Regarding journaling, I want to tell you something. There is a neuroscientist, Andrew Huberman, who proved that writing 30, 45 minutes, 4 days in a row about a moment, a traumatic moment, could decrease the activation of that neural path which is connected with the traumatic events. So writing without any restriction, writing 30 minutes or 45 minutes about the same event, 4 days in a row, could help us to diminish the impact of trauma or of the moment we had in the past. I just want to remind you that in this moment, keep rowing. It is not only for you, it is also for us and for the whole Europe. Ask yourself time to time, what is your why? Check your values before important decisions. Ask for help when tired. Our community is here. We are here. Take care of your protective factors and use your inner conflicts as sources for self-discovery and understanding your emotional history. Thank you very much, and I hope that it will be useful for you in your practice and in relation with yourself.
Gabriella, my heartfelt thanks to you. You have highlighted for us that in the midst of darkness, in the midst of war, there's healing. There are moments of light and opportunities for growth and transformation, especially regarding our relationship with ourselves. And this is so important for all of the Ukrainians who are part of this symposium today. Thank you for reminding them about the European Room for Listening, and we'll hear more about that. And you're absolutely right. That is a resource and a place that people can go to when they notice those things that you highlighted. Thank you for the depth. Yeah, thank you for the depth and the wisdom of the way in which you've spoken to us. And I think also thank you for this metaphor of the storm and the ways in which those two rowers continued in the middle of the storm. What a powerful image. They didn't give up. They didn't move, but they held steady against the storm. And then when the storm passed, they were able to continue rowing. And because they asked themselves the question, why? So in the midst of all of our storms, this is such a good image and such a good metaphor for us. Thank you.
And I just want to remind all of you that they win.
They won.
Win.
Yes.
They won.
Yes, they won. The others, they went back. And so just because they held on, they won. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gabriella. And we look forward also to people being able to ask you questions in the round table this afternoon. So, and thank you that you will join us for that. And also just thank you to Mara Precipitu, who invited you to come and speak to us today. Thank you, Mara, for introducing us to Gabriella and so that then she could give us this wise and so insightful talk that you've given us this morning. Thank you, Gabriella. Okay.